What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today when I talk about Faraday Future, I want to go over some of the current data points, what the company is trying to do behind the scenes to save Faraday from this downtrend, and what investors can expect next. Before I get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So currently Faraday is down at 5.14%, a fair amount of volume for it being a Friday. So 10.2 million shares being traded, 18.4 is the average. There has been no recent SEC filings. As far as news, this did come out on January the 3rd, and you can kind of tell based on this, just the underlying tone is that they're looking for a strategic partnership and or maybe a future merger to really save Faraday's downtrend on what's been happening with it, because based on their actual last earnings, they have about 6.71 million in cash equivalent short-term investments, 134.74 million in debt, and they're burning through a ton of money. So clearly in Faraday's future, there is dilution coming down the pipeline as well with this recent news. Like, they are on the chopping block with the NASDAQ. I brought this up last video because it was confirmed. A lot of people bounced back and said that, well, technically they have up until June the 25th to rectify this deficiency, which, yeah, you are completely on point and you are right. But in reality, are you, or I guess is anyone expecting Faraday to 5x? Is there anything planned from now until June the 25th that would rectify this, especially on how much they are burning through? I'm not a financial advisor, but I would say no. And one thing that you have to also factor in, it might come sooner rather than later, is the fact that it is now at 16 and something cents right now. So technically, once it does get below 10 cents for 10 consecutive trading days, then that is a whole different ball game of a issue. And that is largely because of Rule 5810C3A. If a company is trading below that 10 consecutive trading days for 10 cents, they are deficient with another ruling. This one isn't as forgiving as the $1 one. So you're not going to get a 180-day extension for them to rectify this. It has to be done before or kind of during this time period. So essentially they need to do a reverse stock split to rectify the 10-cent rule. So this definitely is not good. They did propose that upcoming shareholder meeting, which one of the proposals is a 1-for-3 reverse stock split, if I do remember correctly, and that would not solve this whole situation. So things, in my opinion, are going to get worse before they get better. The company clearly acknowledges that, and this is why they are trying at all best to really fix what is happening. And clearly in their heads, a merger or a strategic cooperation is maybe the resolution to that. One thing to note though, I have still yet to see any Form 4s, and a Form 4 is where a insider does buy. Ever since September, their news where they did say that 50% of all the VPs and directors, the salaries is going to go into buying the actual company. So repurchase program. Like, nothing has been done. So hopefully that maybe was a 2024 situation and not them lying behind the scenes. I don't know. I'm just not really a big fan of companies saying something very positive and not following through with it, because that's something I have actually even said on multiple different videos, not correlated with Faraday, but I do bring up Faraday, be like, hey, look at their management. Their management's actually doing something very good. But if Faraday end up lying about that, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. When it comes down to some of the data, currently shorts are increasing about 124,000 shares. 24.92% of the free float is being shorted. 28.59 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of borrow average is opening up a little bit lower in comparison to yesterday, so 16.54%. And right now there is 0 shares available to be shorted. Options wise, 2,400 in calls being purchased versus 1,400, or I guess 1,500 in puts. Sentiment wise, people are a little bit more optimistic because you can kind of see 58% of all the options being done today are optimistic and bullish. Of the call options that are being purchased, it's nothing recent. It looks like January 16th, 2026, oddly enough, at the 50-cent strike price. So not really much to analyze for that. And same goes for puts. So very little for that. So ultimately, it is just going to be piggybacking off of the technicals, which right now the technicals aren't looking the best. So with it at 16.4 right now, it is trading between this S3 and this S2. So 16.9 is going to be that next strong resistance, and vice versa. This is going to be the next strong support. So around 9 cents. And like I said, that 9-cent mark would be the start of this ruling. So the 58.10, so below that 10-cent mark. not the best. So Faraday does need to do something. Clearly they are aware of that. Just what is going to happen? Like, I don't know, maybe if Faraday continues to trend down, because right now it is a 20.89 million market cap company. Maybe it might be a takeover opportunity for a big OEM or whatever else, because they kind of have a good plan in place, some good infrastructure. They clearly have some strategic partners out in the Middle East. A lot of companies really desire that. So maybe Faraday's future might actually encumber a takeover, which unfortunately isn't good for retail investors, because typically if a company is going to be taking over another, they're only going to pay maybe like a 10 to 20, maybe even 30% premium over and above their current prices. Nobody would pay $10 or something crazy absurd. But then again, what do I know? Looking right here, number of retail investors have been getting out over the last little bit. Stochastic is currently at 1, and that is considered like mind-blowingly oversold. It's not just a little bit oversold. It is mind-blowingly oversold to the point where it is kind of being artificially pressed down. And it's kind of ironic because the broader market has been pulling back over the last little bit because of its overbought status. So Faraday is just a complete 180 to the broader market. So who knows, maybe if there is a takeover or some potential good news that doesn't have a string attached to it, that has some financial kind of ramifications afterwards, that might help Faraday get up very high. But again, there's just a lot of negatives in the foreseeable future, so I feel like there is a lot more pain coming before things get better. I would really like to be optimistic. I have been covering Faraday on and off for a while now, but things have just gone very, very poor. So once again, let me know your thoughts on Faraday. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with Faraday behind the scenes? And one final thing, even though Faraday does kind of what it wants sometimes, take advantage of this. This promo has been extended up until January the 15th. So sign up for an account with Moon, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So this is one of the best deals in the market. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, I appreciate all of you watching.